So just full disclosure, I don't actually believe this stuff, but it's just cool. So the simulation theory. Have you ever pondered where the universe came from and how something could be created from nothing? So have many astrophysicists whose entire lives are devoted to solving this mystery. There are many theories that vary from the Big Bang creationism to a large tortoise swimming into the world delivering the universe on its back. While all of the theories out there at least hold some sort of scientific relevance, some more than others, one that has caught the attention of scientists within the last few decades is the simulation theory. The simulation theory, while far-fetched, is possible based on modern research. The simulation theory is possible based on the assumption that technology advances at an exponential rate, while also being a solid explanation for many of the universe's most puzzling, unsolved mysteries and the implications it has on our lives as individuals as if it were true. The most prominent component to the simulation theory would be the undisputable fact that technology, most importantly computing power, advances at an exponential rate. Just around 40 years ago, the first video games were released as two bricks on the side of a screen and a bouncing ball between them. At the time of Pong's release, it was the most advanced of its time. There had never been any sort of program that was as engaging with its audience before. Fast forward to today, and video games have come a long, long way. We now have virtual reality games that require immense computing power by our standards to run. Based on this assumption, it would be nearly impossible to say that in 100 to 1,000 years, humans will possess the computing power required to run a simulation that is conscious and as advanced as the lives we live today. Some scientists say that this has already happened somewhere else and we are the product of this program. According to theoretical physicist Neil deGrasse Tyson, on the question, are we living in a simulation, he states, I find it very difficult to argue against that possibility. You look at the computing power we have today and you see we can program a world inside of a computer. Well, imagine sometime in the future you could create characters that, for example, have free will, humans. While it may be hard to accept and understand, the science and research behind the theory make it possible, while making it impossible to disprove. Now back to the fact that technology is advancing at an exponential rate. At some point in human existence, assuming we do not die before, we will have the computing power to run a simulation that as advanced as our lives. Therefore making the idea that life is a simulation perpetual. Once any simulation reaches the computing power to process the simulation to that pedigree, more conscious simulations develop inside of them. The simulation theory does not only explain how a world as vast and endless as ours could have come from nothing. A computer powerful enough to simulate the world we see, while vast on our standards, may not be that difficult for an advanced civilization. The Big Bang could really just be the moment that our creator turned on his computer and everything started at that point. It would also be an explanation how everything in our universe could be so old. They are old by our standards, but 1 billion years in our time could be seconds in real time. The possibilities and explanations with this theory are endless because there isn't any real way to disprove the theory. While some find it hard to believe, it is critical to understand the research behind it. This theory was not conceived from a book that was written out of fictional story 3,000 years ago. The content holds relevance, and that is really the most important aspect. And while many people who hear this theory laugh and label it as crazy and impossible, it is important to remember that about 85% of the world is convinced that we were created by a man in the sky who created the universe in 7 days and everything is only 6,000 years old. Scientists can immediately disprove the universe being 6,000 years old with the inaugural process of examining the half-lives of radioactive material. When we have a substance that takes 1 billion years to lose half of its radioactive properties, and we test that particular substance, and the results show that it has decayed half of its radioactive material, it is inarguable that the studied substance is at least 1 billion years old. Basically, the moral of the story is that the most widely accepted hypothesis on our existence is relatively easy to disprove. That said, the simulation theory does not seem so far-fetched. So what would this mean? If the theory was somehow proven true and it turned out that we all just code, how would that change our lives? Well, it wouldn't. Regardless of where our existence came from or how we got here, the things going on in our lives are still the most important events that will ever happen to us. If it did turn out that we are a product of someone else's genius, it would be best that we thank him for providing us with life. Humans have the unprecedented ability to love, learn, experience, and discover. For example, being granted the ability to ponder where we came from and what all of this means. In addition, our Creator left us a universe unfathomably vast that is completely untouched by humans. We have the opportunity to travel outside of our solar system and discover the cosmos and potentially find neighboring life. Humans have an opportunity with our lives and ability to contemplate complex ideas that has never been seen in previous life. That has been also a large reason as to why there is so much violence and hatred in the world. Human consciousness is the most advanced system to ever be contrived, so for that it is important to be thankful. So while it may be difficult to grasp and believe, the simulation theory is an idea that has come to fruition as of late and has caused physicists to lose sleep. The overarching theme of my speech today was not to convince any of you to believe a certain way. It was to allow those who listen to unlock their imagination while also applying real science. It is critical to never stop asking questions and to always be committed to understanding and creating your own opinions on what we are and where we came from.